Welcome to Deer Head Studios. This is 40 Below Zero, an international podcast about living with multiple sclerosis. I'm your co-host, Nick, and with me as always is my good friend, Terry. We're so glad all of our fellow MS warriors and supporters are here with us, so let's get into it. Hey everybody, welcome back into the studio. We have a new segment that we're trying out today. We're going to get the perspective and the stories from people that we know to try to give people voice on our platform. So Terry, why don't you start us off with this new endeavor of ours?
Awesome. Thanks, Nick. Yeah, definitely. This is an old friend of mine. This is actually one of my first MS friends. She's practically my sister.
Oh boy. Okay.
So I'm really excited to introduce her. Her name is Marielle. I know her as Yell. I don't know if that's what she wants everyone to name her, but Marielle, how are you doing today? What do you go by? So tell us, start with that.
Well, Yell is the old school nickname. That is the name that my mom started calling me because Mary Yell, or she would pronounce it Marielle. So everyone from my childhood refers to me as Yell, and then anyone after 18 into adulthood call me Mare if they do call me a nickname.
Okay. Okay. I don't know how I started on Yell, but I like that better. Anyway, cool. Well, I got the most basic question for you that everyone's going to ask you. When you got diagnosed, not everybody, this is my question. When you got diagnosed, did you know anybody else with MS?
The only person I knew who lived with MS was one of my friends in junior high and into high school. Her mom had MS. So I knew about it, but I didn't know everything.
Hmm.
So your friend's mom that had MS, how bad
Yes.
was she? Because you were obviously thinking that's you in the future.
That's the thing. Like when I saw her, I didn't see anything. You know what I mean? Like we know what invisible symptoms mean. So when I reflect on my memories about her, I didn't even think, I wouldn't have guessed that she was living with MS. And then I'll compare myself because I use a walking cane because my disability is more visible to the population, to our community. I'll think, okay, I wonder what people would think. And most of the time, people think, okay, it's temporary.
Mhm.
My cousin just wrote me a note, a little message. He's from Australia, originally from the Philippines. We met each other twice in our lives. And he was like, oh, get well soon. Get well soon, Ate Marielle. Ate is just a form of respect, right?
I
And
get it.
it's like, oh, and it didn't offend me. Why? Because I know he probably doesn't understand it. So I felt great that he was telling me to get well soon. But I know that how do you interpret that saying, get well?
Yeah, yeah,
True.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
No,
why don't
that's
we start your journey from the beginning? So there you are, you're going along through life, and then what happens? How do we become an MS warrior?
Honestly, whenever I think about my diagnosis, I know most of the time people are like sharing how scary it is because it's unpredictable and it can progress and this and that. For me, it was life changing, but in such a positive way. I hate using the word positive only because I've learned that not many people receive that word well,
Mhm.
but it's been a blessing in disguise. Before my diagnosis, I wanted to follow what everyone else around me was following. It was a schedule. You know what I mean? You graduate high school, you go to university, you get a degree, you find the love of your life, you get married, you have children, buy a house, da 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 da, or buy a house and then have the children.
Right.
My goal before my diagnosis was always to follow that. I had really good grades in high school. I wasn't, the best like child in regards to like, I got into trouble here and there type of thing, but like after high school, I wanted to do take the steps to be successful by whatever, I don't know, whatever that term meant at that time. And then I got diagnosed, and then I think that it really focused my mind on one direction where I needed to go. instead of just failing because I couldn't keep up with my peers and like, their great jobs and their great degrees and this and that. Whereas where I was able to identify myself, I was like, okay, maybe this is the reason why I kept struggling. So it was almost like I found a reason why I
Mm.
couldn't like walk as far as my friends, or I couldn't concentrate as much as them in university, because university education is much different from high school, I think. And it was harder for me. I even had to drop out of university because the campus was too big.
Wow.
My neurologist wrote me a note, and was like, after my diagnosis, he wrote me a note and was like, let's get her out of there, give her money back,
Hmm.
because we found the reason why she couldn't walk around campus.
Mm. I'm glad
Yeah.
they found the reason because it sounds like it's a struggle. If you didn't know that you had it and you're going through it, you'd be pushing yourself, not knowing that you have an issue that's slowing you down.
Well, the thing is, before my diagnosis, I probably was almost 300 pounds. So I was thinking I was gaining weight because I was depressed, I wasn't motivated to do the things I needed to do to obtain those goals. I was just getting frustrated, not realizing that all the problems that I have like was because of MS. And it wasn't until 2012, I think, like I went on a trip to Mall of America.
Oh,
Where is
really?
that? Yeah, I went to Mall of America. The mall was huge for me, at least, walking around there. Woke up the next morning with a numb toe. I was like, that's weird. And it kind of offset my balance. I thought it was weird. So then I thought, okay, I got to go see a doctor about this because this numb toe is not going away. It lasted like a couple weeks, and I was like, hey, let's go check it out. And then the doctor was like, can't explain it. And then a week later, I had this weird nosebleed, totally not relatable, but I was like, something is wrong. I was adamant that I get checked out. So they're like, hey, let's order the MRI. Got the MRI instantly. Marley was 5 years old then. Marley's my older son. He's 16 now. So he was at the doctor's office with me. I couldn't find childcare. So I brought him there, and the doctor was like, yeah, you have MS. I was not shocked because I doctor Googled it.
Mm,
Everything I was feeling led me to already believe that was living with MS, and it was right. So it wasn't a complete shock, but it it hurt. That
sure.
initial "I have MS," it
Mm,
hurt.
of
And it
course.
wasn't like I was scared about my future. It was more of like, I have a child. How is that going to affect him?
Yeah,
His life was more important than mine when I got that diagnosis.
uh,
And just the expectations of a mother, right? Like, how can I live up to my responsibilities with this disease?
Dude,
absolutely.
I can't imagine. I can't imagine because I had a dog and I felt so guilty that I wasn't giving enough to my dog. So I can't imagine. And how many kids do you have?
I have 2 now.
Like I know this already. I'm just that everyone know this. Okay, too. I didn't know that when you got diagnosed, your eldest was 5 years old.
Yep, he was 5,
Dude,
and I don't know, I feel like my, journey with MS, that's another word I wanna avoid too. So my experiences living with MS
mhm.
shape shapes the people my children are gonna be. So when I'm meeting people now, I'm interested in talking to the kids who are affected by MS, but not diagnosed with it.
Nick,
Yeah.
Totally.
I was just gonna say it would have been really cool if we had her with her son on here. Because man, I have some questions for him.
Yeah.
But
You
anyway,
you know,
that's
I
crazy.
met some of my coworkers whose moms live with MS, and it's just like, okay, I'll talk to them, and I'm like, okay, they seem like really cool, genuine people. And then I look at my son, especially my Marley, right? And I'm thinking,
Mm.
hey, he's learning a lot of things that I'm sure not a lot of people his age have learned yet, only because they don't have a mom who's disabled, really. I don't know. Yeah. And sometimes I think like I'll have my pity parties here and there and think, if I was able-bodied, would things be different for me and my children? Will I be struggling the same way? Because trust me, I struggle. And I think what's easier now after being diagnosed for like the first time I was diagnosed was 10 years ago, is that I don't think I'm numb to it. I think I just know how to cope better. If I feel like a pity party is still going on, I will allow myself to have that pity party. But if I don't find a solution to what I'm crying over, then it's not even worth my time.
Awesome.
I don't know how you guys feel, but pity parties can be helpful.
Yeah, I think you have to let it out in the moment, but then realize that you can't get stuck there.
Yeah,
It doesn't do you any good to stay that sad, especially when there are people in this vast community that you can reach out to and say, "Hey, I'm struggling. This is why." And then they go, "Yeah, I've struggled like that too, and I hear you. I'm here for you." You know what I mean? The community is so important.
I agree. I totally agree. One of the support groups got me thinking, like, I'm not really taking good care of myself. Everyone has great treatment plans. They're on medication, they do their stretches, they work out, they're concerned about their diet. I'm not doing any of that, and I have not been for the last 3 years. Don't get me wrong, at the beginning when I was first diagnosed, I was totally focused. I ended up losing 100 pounds naturally. And I will tell people because that is something to brag about because it was hard. So that 100 pounds that I dropped took 3 years, but I didn't quit. And throughout those 3 years, I was progressing. I ended up using not a wheelchair, a walking cane.
Mm, okay.
So so this whole time I'm thinking, okay, I'm healthier, but my body doesn't think so. Maybe it's the MS that got in the way type of thing, whatever. But then I totally lost my train of thought.
It's okay.
That's a common thing for me.
Don't worry, I
Brain
do that all the
br-
time.
brain fog is
Yeah,
a real thing.
it
Yeah.
really is. It really is. And like keeping up for me, the biggest struggle that I have right now and where the pity parties derive from is not being able to keep up with people around me. So whether
Mhm.
that be at work or my friends, my family, what I view success to be is really important. But now I think success is peace and happiness. That sounds cheesy, but it's true.
No, yeah,
Um,
totally.
yeah, and what I like the most, like Terry, we kind of lost touch for a little bit, but I'm so happy he came back into my life now because little voice messages that I send you throughout the day, like when I'm crying, I need that
Mhm.
5 seconds to be like, Terry, I don't need you to say anything. I just need you to hear my voice and let you know I am having the worst day. And I know you're going to listen and you're going to make me laugh, not even try
Mm.
to make me laugh. I will just laugh and then move on with my day. I'm okay with that now.
Believe me,
Before I want, yeah,
you give me
go
the
on.
strength. When you give me that stuff, you give me the strength because I go through it too. So I'm like, oh, she's going through it. And sometimes you're stronger than me because you spill it out. And I should, but I don't. You know what I mean? So trust me, when you send me these messages, I hate using this word, I'm inspired. I'm
I
motivated to
know.
feel. I hear you. I don't like the journey word either. I'm in a journey. I say that sometimes too, but I'm like, how else can I put it? I
I
got a
know.
question for you.
Yeah, go on.
So you lost a lot of weight. I was on that journey once too. I'm just curious. Um, did anyone tell you to lose the weight and that's what will fix your symptoms? I'm just curious
No.
because that is like so negative. You know what I mean? It's like,
No one told me that. I think I've always struggled with my weight since I was younger. It's really caused a lot of self-esteem issues, that type of
mhm,
thing, totally not related to MS. So it's almost like getting diagnosed with it gave me the real push to be like, hey, time to do something about it. Yeah. So as soon as I got the diagnosis, I was like, hey, the medications, they're too complicated. Sure, I'll go through the education sessions. I only really tried one medication. It was the oral one because it was the easiest one to do, Tecfidera. But then
okay,
I
okay.
realized like I am not responsible enough to take these medications. So let's try just working out and like got myself a Fitbit, got super obsessed with it. Sustainability with the diet is really important to me. So the easiest diet I could follow is the Canada's Food Guide. So follow that. And then lost the weight. Like I said, it took a long time, 3 years, but I still did it and I kept it off. So in regards to like my weight, I'm happy, and I can say that MS is responsible for me motivating myself to do that.
So only one disease modifying therapy in 10 years. Is that what I heard?
Yes, I've
Okay.
gone through plenty of educational sessions with the MS clinic with the nurses. Got a
Okay.
nurse in the house to kind of explain some things in detail, and I already signed up for things, got pharmacare in place, and then I was like, no, next. I know myself. Like I feel like if like I have 2 kids I have to take care
Okay.
Yeah.
of, and I work and
Mhm.
an extra thing. And I know everyone's like, "Oh, you can't pour from an empty cup." Well, pour that empty cup for me then. I don't have time for that. You either help me or like just
Mm.
leave me alone, because that extra thing to like get medications and all that stuff, it's not even, I don't even think it's denial. I thought about it. I'm like, am I in denial to not take these things? No. And it's not laziness. I wouldn't apply that on that too. I think it's just more of prioritizing, if
Yeah.
that
Okay.
makes sense.
The reason why I ask is because so many people out there struggle with, should I be on a DMT? Should I not? What is life really scary without one? You know, they struggle a lot with it because there is a lot of information out there. So to hear someone say that they don't take one is fine, because in this room I think I'm in the minority. I'm on one, but
Mhm.
Terry, you're not on one, right?
I'm
You
not
don't
on
have
it.
one?
No,
Okay,
nothing.
so
Yeah.
yeah, I'm the only one here right now that takes one. So I'm interested to hear why people don't. That's all. That's the reason why I ask.
It's too much work, to be honest, with all the paperwork. I don't know if you've ever wanted to try one out, Terry. And things might be different, right? Considering the different type of MS that we have.
Mm,
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so for me, it was like too much paperwork, too many appointments, and then the lab requisitions. Do not send me to a lab. Like I will not go. I just know myself. Like, and I'm routine based. Anything out of routine,
Mm.
ooh, and I have a max of like what I can accomplish. My spoons, regarding the spoon theory,
Yeah.
mhm.
they get wiped out fast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Of
I know,
course.
and I will probably, get some people just not agreeing with me, and I'm not promoting it. I know that I should be focused on that, but considering my situation, single mom of 2
Hmm.
kids, 10 years apart, going through different life stages, plus juggling a full-time job, it's a lot already.
I know it. I understand it's a lot, but I have a bunch of questions that keep popping up.
Yeah,
Um,
go ahead.
so what type of MS do you have?
Relapsing, remitting.
Okay, and do you think you have suffered undue relapses by not having a medication on board? Have you had many relapses in the 10 years?
Mm.
I feel like, see, this is the part where I'm trying to understand it, because I read something and it's like multiple sclerosis is considered an episodic disease because you go through a period of wellness where you feel okay, or you don't feel ill or whatever. When I read
Mhm.
that, I was like, what? I feel sick every day. People will not know that. It's not like it's an upper, oh, I shouldn't say that. Some days I do feel better, some days I don't, but it's the same if you average it out. I don't know how to explain it. But my whole thing with this relapsing remitting thing is I don't think I've ever been in remission. That's the thing. It almost feels like my baseline is getting worse and worse. And sure, maybe that's due to me not being focused on DMTs and all that, but I don't know. Like, it's either I need to make a decision if I want to take care of my kids full time with myself and not work, or I work and somehow get help with my kids. But unfortunately, that's not available. So the sacrifice I'm making right now is myself.
So I'm trying to understand what you're saying. So if you take a DMT, you wouldn't have the ability to work. Is that what you're saying?
It's the extra work for me. I would not be able to my capacity would not allow me to have that in my routine.
That's fine.
Okay.
There
Okay. I'm just trying to
Yeah.
understand. I'm not trying to attack. I'm just trying to understand because I
Mhm.
have a
Oh, no,
different
no, no.
mindset. I have a different mindset. I had when I was diagnosed 10 years ago, I had two young kids and I've been 100% DMTs from day one.
Mhm.
And I started out with the relapse remitting diagnosis as well. And then 6 years, 5, 6 years in, they switched it after my third medication. And I also heard the same thing where I had a doctor tell me that there are supposed to be days when you don't feel anything. It's like you don't have MS that day, and that's the
Mhm.
remission. And he said if you don't have days like that, then you don't have relapse remitting MS. You have a different type. So when you have his what he said to me, or what he was imparting to me was, if there are days when you wake up and you feel like you have never had MS and you're back to the way you were before the diagnosis, that's remission. If not, then you're never in remission. So you have a different type.
It's always subjective,
Right.
because
Yeah.
in your body, what do you feel? And
Right.
My understanding of that is, like, you can first be diagnosed with, RRMS, and then
hmm
it would lead into secondary and then
Hmm.
progressive, whatever different types.
hmm hmm
Guaranteed I'm probably there, I'll get my MRIs, but does the data show that I'm a different type because I don't have extra lesions? My lesion count has been the same. Is it
yeah.
because lesions
Yeah.
can't be shown through any of the tests that I take? So it's complicated, but the thing is, all I know is I am feeling good
hmm
inside, and I think that's what I base it on, like my
Sure.
mental health.
Yes.
Sure, the physical
Yes.
abilities may not be there, but in my head, I was like, "Hey, my friends who don't have any diagnosis at all, they're complaining about the same things I'm complaining. So is it just getting older?"
Right.
Like, it's hard to tell. Um, but yeah, like I would say in regards to my health and anything to do with MS, my number one priority is my mental health because I know how dark I can go. I
Sure.
know that sometimes the pity parties can last longer than I expected, especially, a few years ago type of thing. And I
hmm
will be in a dark place. And that dark place can lead to bad things.
Oh yeah.
Um,
Of
yeah,
course.
That's
And
very
very
you
scary.
common.
got and you have kids, man. That's crazy. Like
Yeah.
props to you. You know what I mean? And I hate when people say that, right? Like you have no other choice. What are you gonna do? You have kids. You have no other choice.
Yeah, that's the
But
thing.
damn, I don't know what I would do.
Yeah. And like, I've always told myself that I need a very supportive network. That's been my number one thing. I would say
hmm
that I prioritize my network, best friends, family, that type of thing. Terry, you are part of that network, right? It's really important, which
Oh,
we just quick,
thank you.
yeah, something effortless. Like I'm having a bad day. I want to quit everything. I want to quit being a mom. I want to quit my job. I want to just quit. And then as soon as I release it, I'm like, "I'm just kidding. I just needed to release. I don't wanna quit. I just needed to get all of that out of my body, all of that out of my system, and then let's go. Let's go get back at it."
I do the same thing. I do the same thing, and I say I'll vent to someone, and then right after I'll feel so stupid for venting, and I'm like, I'm okay, I'm okay. Just ignore what I said. So that's why when you vent, I know what you're going through, and I'm always like, dude, and I'll say something silly to be like, I'll try to take it off of you because I understand, and
Yeah.
a lot of people with MS have mental issues. And I don't mean to say that so negatively, you know what I mean? But dude, we have MS. How is it not affecting your mental being? How is it
Well,
not?
I was thinking about that over the holidays because someone I was talking to had mentioned that, and it's just like how many people are actually thinking about people living with this disease and their mental health, especially around this time. And I'm thinking, well, mental health has always been the number one thing. Like I take care of that first before, like, doing my stretches, which I should be doing. Trust me, I know it.
Mhm.
But if I'm not there, at least 80% feeling pretty happy or, like driven, then nothing else will follow. I know that. I am a little scarred. Just going back to DMTs, I should mention that with Tecfidera, my experience with that,
Mhm.
it was so bad, and I never want to do that again. And then hearing about other people's side effects with other medications, that's what scares me. And I'm thinking, if I'm out, like Tecfidera gave me the worst stomach pains. I felt sick. Like, I would not be able to eat. I'd vomit all the time, get the flushing in my face, felt hot flashes. Like, it was just so uncomfortable and it wouldn't go away. My body just did not do
Hmm.
well with it. And I hear about other medications, just like, "Oh, yeah, you'll be out for a week." And it's like, I cannot be out for a week. Like, how does a single mom, you
Mhm.
know,
Yeah.
how
Yeah,
will I be able to function?
you
So,
definitely put a lot on you with these medications.
Did you decide to
yeah.
stop, or did they tell you you should stop?
Oh, I decided. I
Oh,
didn't do it the proper way I should have. Trust me, I know all these things that I should be doing in a safe way, but I just stopped. I don't want
mhm.
to go through that anymore.
And I'm sure many people relate with you. I'm sure many people are like,
True.
yeah, I did the same thing. And I did too once. You know what I mean? So that's why I
Mhm.
feel guilty. And now I'm like, all right, I'll do the MRIs. What drug do you want me to take? I'm going to try it. I'm sure he's going to tell me to take Ocrevus, which is really
Yeah.
the popular one now. And you know what? I might do it. I don't know till when. Am I going to do it forever? I'm like you. I was
I'm
on
going to try.
Vampiro. Are you?
Yes, that is on my list. I have my MRI for it. Or yeah, MRI is scheduled end of April.
Mhm.
And then I'm gonna go into the first sessions of like learning about it.
Okay.
Mhm.
But we'll see. I say that now, but like I said, it's a pattern for me. I'll be like, sure, sign me up, da 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 da
Yeah,
da.
me
Then
too.
I'll delay the process
Well,
and then be like,
Me
just
too.
kidding, I'm not doing it.
I can
We'll
tell
see how.
you, I can tell you, I'm 3 years into it and have no side effects, nothing. I just sit in the hospital for about 3 hours to get the infusion and then go about my day.
Nothing?
So
And nothing.
nothing. I feel
Okay.
all
Yeah.
right. So maybe the next morning I feel a little sluggish, but then I return to my normal garbage MS self, you know.
That's what bothers me is that you take these drugs and you're like, yeah, does it work? Yeah. Well, we
Well,
know by statistics, we know it works.
you're not taking it for yourself today. You're taking it for yourself 20 years from now, 15 years from now.
You slow down the progression,
That's it. That's all
right?
it does.
So I feel worse, but my tests show I have no progression. So where do we base that on? Is it just because I'm not exercising enough and stretching enough that
You can quote unquote progress without a measurable progression. So you said I don't have any more lesions, but the progression you're getting is the day-to-day symptom progression, not the clinical symptom progression. So the
yeah.
doctor's not seeing a difference and he's not showing you a difference because there might not be one, but you can progress with what you're already dealing with getting worse without measuring more. So both are true or both can be true.
No, and that totally makes sense. And I'm just thinking if I'm not like say with all the therapy,
Mhm.
right? And like all the stretches that we're supposed to be doing, all those things, because I'm not really focusing on that, I could see why my mobility has been declining. I can't explain the clonus that I get, like the shakes and everything that come out of nowhere. I try to correlate it. Like I'll be mindful of what I'm doing, how I'm feeling at the time I get certain symptoms, just to see if there's any connection. And sometimes there are. Um, but I don't know. I feel like my I do know I need to slow down and really focus on taking care of my future self, avoiding or delaying the progress of this disease.
Mhm.
It's just right now in this moment, my priority is not that.
Sure.
And if I were to talk to any newly diagnosed people, which I have been able to, they've been reaching out to me, my biggest advice to them is, find your support network, make sure you got, a great, like, I think it's important to trust your medical team, nurses, neurologists, for the people who have that option, I am thankful that I have the best neurologist ever who understands me as a human being, not as a patient. And
That's big.
You want to give him a
oh,
shout out?
oh yeah, Dr. Michael Kasoy, you are top notch.
Awesome.
Bit of a drive
No,
for me.
Where's
um,
where's your neurologist? But I mean, where? But which province? Which? Because we didn't tell anyone
he's
where you're from.
oh, I'm from Winnipeg, Manitoba.
Okay.
So I go to the new MS clinic. And yeah, I'm so thankful that I met him 10 years ago and it was almost instant.
Wow.
I love his humor. Anyone who can make me laugh with sarcasm, ding ding ding, it will work out great. And he's honest with me too, right? Like this is like he will tell me if he thinks that, maybe I should be considering going on medications now. He won't force it on me. He'll just be like, hey, these are the facts, this is what I can give to you, but I can't force you to go on it. It's my choice.
Yeah.
Even when I had a job that was pretty heavy, and I was needed around the clock, always on call, had to put out fires, this and that. And he's like, you need to quit your job. I know how work is very important to you. He's like, you will not do well if you go on disability. He's like, what you need to find is something more suitable for your energy levels and your lifestyle, this and that. I took his advice and now I love my job, my current job. You know what I mean?
Wow. It seems like you connected with your neurologist. That's what everyone wants. They don't want to just be a number, right? So that's cool that you got that.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, and I don't feel like a number. And
Yeah.
he knows that I like being out there talking to people about
Hmm.
my my journey. You know what I mean? Like, so he'll invite me to talk to students, to med students, second year med students that I go to the University of Manitoba. They have this like seminar workshop thing to prepare themselves for an exam, and I'm there to show them my symptoms. Dr. Kusoy calls it a party trick, and I love it.
I saw the video once that you posted up, and it was
Yeah.
the leg shakes. Remember the
Yes.
leg shakes? And he actually triggered it. He triggered your
Yes.
leg shake, and you're like, what the hell? And it just keeps going. You can stop it, but it's not natural. And it just keeps going. And he was demonstrating to the whole class, like, look at her leg, it's shaking. It was
That's
really
my
cool.
party.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's clonus, what he refers to as clonus. I'm not gonna
Oh,
lie,
okay.
I had to look up clonus,
So do
and I
I
was like,
now.
"Oh, okay, interesting." So it's, involuntary, like, movements in the muscles,
Bonus.
and there's yeah, clonus, CLONUS.
Okay.
Now, how
And
how impactful is that for you on the daily?
oh, it's amazing. It's like I have a reason to go through all of this and to help students. You should see their eyes light up. I'm feeling teary-eyed right now just knowing that people can learn from me. And I think about their career and it's like, hey, if I can teach you these things and you guys get invested into really learning about how you can help MS patients or any other, patient in the neurology field, that type of thing, then like I have a purpose. You are
Has
giving me meaning.
has it ever manifested itself at an inopportune time where you were like driving the kids somewhere, or has the leg shakes ever just popped up in your day and been like, oh, I got to stop immediately what I'm doing because this is dangerous?
They they do. Like last night, they were out of control. They're painful. They really are
Mhm.
painful. Like when Dr. Kasoy does it, they don't hurt because he supports my knees. But when they
Right.
come on its own, it's like I don't know how to. It's like jerks, like really hard jerks, whatever. And then I feel it in my knees, and um, I laugh it off because it is kind of funny. Like my entire leg shake, and I'm thinking, oh man, like
So
I don't know.
that's a symptom you have, right? I just curious. Out of all your symptoms, because we know you have many, what is your worst symptom? Like I suppose that is a symptom you kind of ignore, just like you said. And if someone from the outside world said to you, What are your symptoms? I bet you'd never even say, I have involuntary movements in my knee, in my leg, right? Because that's like, yeah, that's so minuscule compared to, my
I don't
fatigue or,
I think about that all the time. Like, what is your worst? And it's like, do I have a worst or do they all just suck equally? You know what I mean? Because I think
yeah.
equally they suck. And it's kind of like different things. Like
Yeah.
fatigue, I'm feeling the fatigue now. I know it's really bad when my eyes are really heavy, and it's not the sleepiness that really
Yeah.
bothers me when people are just like, take a nap. No, 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 no.
Yeah.
I know fatigue. Anyway, so fatigue. Um, only because I have kids, right? I wanna be out there. Like, after a full days of work, I wanna spend time with my kids. I wanna make dinner, but fatigue hits me. It as soon as evening hits, it's like, oh, like, I don't wanna do anything. So that's one of the worst. Ankles. My ankles are weak. I got the drop foot on both feet. So falls are a common thing for me. I try to avoid the ankle braces, which have helped me, but I learned from a friend that it's just going to make it worse because I'm not going to be using my muscles the way that I should because the braces are what's carrying it.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, and I would say the scariest symptom, okay, there's two actually, would be losing my vision in I can't remember if it was left or right eye. Oh my gosh.
I think,
Yeah, losing my vision in my left eye. It's not like it's like I'm wearing a dark shade of sunglasses over one eye. And then my fear is I'm going to lose my vision completely. That's what I think instantly.
I think that's Nick's fear too.
Yeah, that happens a lot. I have optic neuritis in my left eye all the time. And it ranges from my left eye is fuzzy to I can't see anything out of my left eye. And my big fear is that one day both eyes will be dark. And I know that it's not the end of the world and you can adjust, but that's the biggest fear for me with the MS. If I never get there, then great. If I do, then I'll adjust, of course, just like I adjusted to having the MS in the first place. But it's just the thing that scares me as far as symptoms go. But I have the involuntary movement, but mine is my left shoulder down to my left hand. So what happens to your leg happens to my arm. And so every now and again, my arm starts to go like this without me,
Oh yeah.
without me doing anything. I'll just be sitting there like,
Yeah, I
and
can
then
laugh because, but
yeah,
I
you
don't
can laugh
know.
because
Does it
I let you. If it goes for a period of time, yes.
Yeah.
If it's 30 seconds, then fine. But if it's like 3 minutes and it's still going, and even if I grab it, I'm still like shaking, my core shakes. So, and it comes on from quick temperature changes is the biggest trigger for
Mhm.
that symptom. Like if I get out of the shower and it's really cold in the bathroom, that transition alone is enough to stop me for about 15 minutes.
Hmm.
Yeah. I I get that. Heat for me brings on some of these things. Or even like after like an intense workout or something, right? Like my legs will shake for the rest of the day. I'll have to
Mhm.
sleep it off. And in the morning, I will feel that my legs have been shaking, like have been contracting its muscles because it'll be sore.
Yeah, it's like you ran a marathon, you didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I totally get it.
Exactly.
Um after after feeling scared about losing my vision, I started this thing now where I just need to touch people's faces who I'm close with, you know what I mean, like my boys. Like I want
Mhm.
to touch their faces, just in case. That's kind of like, I just want to know, like I want to be prepared. That's how I see it.
You know,
And it's kind of
it's
a special
you're
thing.
you're not it is well, it is very special. I don't mean to cut you off. It is very special, and you're not alone in the preparation. There's oftentimes I will do a task and I will close my eyes and be like, just in case, let me see if I can do this.
Yeah.
We
No,
shouldn't
that's
have to prepare.
Wow.
No. Well, I only got that idea because I did this science experiment in high school. It's called Blind Memory's Sense of Direction. And the reason why I want to test that, if people like say you fall asleep in a car,
Mhm.
but you still kind of know where you're going, even if you don't have your eyes open. For me at least, I'll kind of envision myself and I'm like, "Oh, I know the route. I know we're here now." Open my eyes. I'm like, "Oh, that's right." Um, so then I got that idea, like once I started losing my vision, to just like feel for my children's faces or their hands or things like that, so I know it's them.
Sure.
Um, I don't know. And then the second thing that really scared me was losing all control over my hands, both of them. That happened twice. So one time I was working, and then by lunchtime, 'cause I had to type out this proposal. By lunchtime, totally lost the ability to use my hands. And I went to my director and I was like, I don't know what happened, but you have to type out the proposal while I talk because I cannot use my hands right now. She started freaking out. She's like, let's take you to the hospital. I'm like, no, the proposal is due. I'm okay. This is probably an MS thing. I'll talk to my doctor after.
Yeah.
Let's get the proposal done. I called my neurologist or the office after, and then got hooked up with some steroids. And then after a day of steroids, my hands were back to normal.
Wow.
Normal, another word. We should make a list of
Yes,
like
yes, yes.
words that we still say but don't agree with.
Do you see how your boss is like, go to the hospital? You're like, no, 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 this is normal. They're like,
Yeah.
what? Your hands are done. Dude, I do that all the time. When people send me emails and it's like a
Yeah.
long email, I'm like, oh my God, how am I going to respond to this? And it's like a one sentence back because I don't want to type so much because it's not easy to
Yeah.
type for me. Like I can
Yeah.
type, but it's really like it's effort. You know what I mean? Like,
You get the 3 paragraphs and you respond with "Okay."
and then I'm an ass, but I'm not trying to be. It's like, dude, I'm legit. I got fatigue issues in my hands too. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, man, I'm glad that
It's off and on with that. I do want to mention there was
Mhm.
a coworker of mine who asked me to book in a coffee chat with her because she wants to learn more about MS.
Nice.
And she was a little hesitant at first, and she was like, I don't know. You could tell like she wanted to be respectful. I was
Mhm.
like, I love this stuff. It means a lot to me that my peer, my coworker with the same role as me wants to get to know more about my life with MS.
Mhm.
Uh, and I'm thinking if it goes well, if I get the sense that she's learning from me, I want to offer that to everyone around me, like to my coworkers, really, right?
Yeah.
I think it's really important that people understand it from my perspective, not what they read up on Google
Mhm.
or whatever other website.
So that leads me naturally to the question of what what perspective would you like to impart on them? What's the biggest perspective you would like to share with people who don't have MS, who may be listening to this? How has MS changed your perspective on your world? For me, it slowed me down. For me, it allowed me the opportunity to gear down, to look at the world around me and to reevaluate everything.
I think for me is don't like don't take things for granted. Honestly, that was the biggest lesson that I've learned from it. And um now any opportunity that I'm given, whatever area of my life, I usually take it. It's something that I never want to miss out on. And I'm just thinking about like how I kind of let life pass me by before the diagnosis. When was I diagnosed? At 27? I believe I was 27
Wow.
years old. Yeah, and I felt like I didn't jump on excitement as much as I'm doing now. Like I wasn't excited about life. Now I'm excited about life. I'm able to walk today. I'm going to celebrate that and I'm going to make the most out of it. You know what I mean? That's how I view life now. Like,
That's great.
oh, I was able to take a shower today and not fall down. I'm going to celebrate that. Trust me, I celebrate
I
every
understand
little.
totally. And it's
Yeah.
funny, you had to get MS to start appreciating your life.
Yeah. No, it is.
I
It
know,
is,
I
but
know.
that's what I mean by that blessing. If I
Mhm.
didn't have MS, would be as optimistic as I am now? Would I be as enthusiastic about life? Probably not.
Now,
Probably not.
if you could go back to that 27-year-old, what would you tell her? Like if you could
Um,
time travel back to the week after you got diagnosed to tell yourself some advice, what would you say?
I would say, you know, I, I would give that reassurance early that the dark days don't last. You know what I mean? I wish someone gave me that pep talk early
Yep.
because when I get in my funk, sometimes I'm thinking, okay, when does it end? When does it end? And yeah, I would leave it as simple as that. Dark days don't last.
Yeah, no, that's
Perfect.
cool. That's cool.
Yeah.
I understand. Yeah, mine's silly. If I saw myself whenever, I would just want to hug him and be like, dude, it's gonna be okay. You're gonna meet good people. It's gonna be okay. Because I've never gotten that. So I just crave that. So I crave to do that to someone who just gets diagnosed. To be like, dude, it's gonna be
Oh,
okay. You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
That's funny you say that because now I get the opportunity to meet quite a bit of people who are newly diagnosed. And it's like, yes, like
Mm,
I want to provide some things if they are comfortable enough. Yeah, I want to provide that support that I didn't get when I was first diagnosed, only because I didn't know what was available. Right. And the hardest part, I think, with living with any disease is some of the time you have to advocate for yourself. You have to navigate through the system. Things aren't just handed to you.
exactly. Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Totally.
But this is why you and I we meshed in the beginning, because you know what I mean? I found that from you, you found that from me. I just felt really, really comfortable with you. You know what I mean?
Same.
Legit, we were family from the beginning.
It was like it was instant. I remember that. It's a WhatsApp conversation. I was like, "Holy crap, we talked for so long." And
Awesome.
because it was something relatable. We had something in common that not a lot of people around us at that time knew what we were going through, you know what I mean? And then we
Yeah.
met those same people through
Yeah,
social
yeah.
media
Oh, we were
and build
good.
a connection through there.
We were
Yeah,
such support for a lot of people. And a lot of
I
people
think so.
disappeared, but yeah, for sure.
I could get why like social media, it's tough. Like it takes up a lot of like at
Mhm.
that time, it took up a lot of my time. But then I was still kind of navigating through my journey, which way I wanted to take it. Things have changed quite a bit. Um, I think now, considering where I work, MS is always in my mind, but not in a negative way. It's a what am I going to do now so that I can make a difference, truly make a difference, and I feel like I am. Um, Whether it's like big in a community setting, or I'm making a difference with my perspective on my kids or perspective on myself, that type of thing. Either way, there's a difference.
And the fact that your kids are actually doing the walk to raise money,
Yes.
that's amazing. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So,
What's your team name?
My children's team name is Mar and Muck versus MS. So it's their first team that they've ever created on their own. They walked once before, but I wasn't present. They walked in honor of me. I wasn't comfortable going to a walk. I haven't been to a walk yet, but this year will be my first one. I'm really excited about it. My son, he is 16 years old, goes to high school, and has been in touch with his football team, student council, his principal. They're all on board to help him fundraise. And I want to let Marley know that the funds are going to places that are going to bring us closer. You know what I mean? I
Hmm.
know that there's some people who are like, maybe not in my lifetime I'll see a cure. And if I'm going to be honest, I don't think in my lifetime either um a cure might be possible considering what I experienced, that type of thing. Will it even benefit me? This and that. But what I do know is that these funds are going to go to programs and services that I truly benefit from.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like these support groups, they help me way more than I expected them to.
Yeah.
And
Isn't
I
that
love,
something?
oh, I love it so much. I love talking. I remember the first support group that I joined that Terry invited me to. I cried my eyes out. I was angry. I was upset with something. I shared it and I was like hyperventilating. And then after I didn't feel embarrassed. Usually I would. If that happened at in a work setting, like before this job I have now, I would be completely embarrassed. Anxiety will be through the roof. Doing this in a support group, there was no fear of judgment. I released the way I should have been. I should have, yeah. And I love, yeah.
that's awesome. Yeah, by you releasing, a lot of people felt like a lot of people contact me after that day and they're like, who's that? Who's that? Because when you're vulnerable, it really helps people. I know it sounds silly, but it really does because they're like, oh,
It does.
so it's Mar and Muck versus
Yes.
MS. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And that's in Canada, right? Not in the States, obviously.
I think the States, it's so in Canada, it's called MS Walk, and then in the States, it's Walk MS.
Because we
Oh.
I
have
think
to be
it's
different.
Oh,
yeah.
I didn't know that.
Requirement.
You know, I've been going through some of the fundraising pages with the American side, whatever, and I'm getting some good ideas. There's one fundraising thing where they have a map of the United States, and the goal is to try to get a donation in every state.
Yeah.
And I talked to Marley. I was like, wouldn't that be cool if we got a donation from every province and territory just to show how strong we are as a nation to support one another? I bet you anything. If I put that out there, put out videos, Instagram posts, things like that, we will likely attain that goal.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Awesome. I'm there to help you. You know that. So let's do it.
Oh, I know.
One more time, Terry. Who are we giving money to? What's the name of the team? You had just said it.
Awesome. No problem. Mar and Muck versus MS.
Mar and Muck versus MS. Well,
Yes.
Marielle, it has been a complete pleasure meeting with you, speaking with you today, and thank you so much for sharing your story. It was my pleasure to have you on the show. That's for sure. I learned a lot. That's for sure.
Definitely. Definitely. You're awesome. There was no other person I could have thought that would be better to be interviewed today than you.
You
So,
know, thank you so much.
Anything
Yeah.
you want to say before we wrap it up here?
I think what you guys are doing is great. A lot of the times, people are not given the platform to share their story, and sometimes that's what's needed, right? Part of the coping mechanism. So, thank you for giving me this opportunity today. It makes me feel so good to get connected. Keep doing what you guys are doing.
You're
Thank you.
awesome. If we wanted to bring you back on, would you ever come back on?
Of course, I do this
Okay.
on a regular basis. You know me.
Awesome.
Just let me know.
All right, so check us out. You know where to find us on the socials, 40 Below Zero. You can find us on Google Podcasts, Amazon, Audible, where else? Spotify. Whew, we're everywhere. Instagram.
Awesome.
All right, till next time. Thanks, Terry. Thanks, Marielle. Talk soon.
Definitely. Talk soon.